What's going on YouTube? So for the biggest jobs and the biggest family road trips, you need a big SUV, which is the spot in the market that the Ford Expedition has been filling for a long time. But today we are with the new 2025 Expedition, which is going even bigger on design, luxury, and technology. So is this the top full-size SUV in the segment over rivals like the Tahoe? Well, let's take a first look and find out. So a good place to go ahead and start off with would be our exterior design. Now obviously Expedition has kind of a signature look. It's got to look a little bit tough and boxy. That is going to continue this year, but all of the front ends are going to be completely different. There also is going to be a lot of variation between the different trim levels that this is available in. So what I'm standing next to right now is the Platinum trim level. This is the top spec Expedition, and because of that you're going to notice some refined elements. So the grille here is going to be finished in a gloss black. We have this silver accent with a lot of texture going on that runs along the lower edge of the grille itself. And there is also a silver accent on the lower fascia. The cool thing I want to point out though is something you're probably noticing right now, and that's the lighting. So kind of integrated all into one piece here, we have this daytime running light which swoops around and actually traces along the whole bottom edge of the grille and onto the other side. Kind of makes the vehicle almost look like it's smiling at you, especially when you see it lit up in the dark. Speaking of the lights, we do have, of course, standard full LED headlights. These are reflector LEDs, even here on the top in Platinum trim level. And then down below, you'll notice we have a little area. It looks like it should have a fog light, but there's actually no fog light there. Now, as I kind of drop down to the lower fascia again, I do want to mention that there is a new trim level. That's going to be the off-road focused version of the new Expedition, and that model is going to have the maximum ground clearance of 10.6 inches. It's also going to have some special features such as front skid plates and also some underbody protection. Now moving on to our wheels, just like with the front, there's a ton of variation that you can get. We have, though, something new and special for this new Expedition, and that is a 24-inch alloy wheel. So, of course, this is something that we're seeing actually roll out to rivals such as the Tahoe as well. It's an absolutely enormous size for any SUV, even of this size, and it has a really cool design as well as some pretty low-profile tires. Now, gloss black finish on board. Of course, they're fully loaded with all the features. We also have auto dimming abilities on the driver's side. Now here at the side, like Drew said, this is a very big vehicle, so that's why it has those 24-inch alloy wheels. Now, as far as overall vehicle length, it's quite large. 210 inches for your standard wheelbase version, or it's going to be about 222 inches long if you choose what we have today, which is the Max version. Now, as far as other design elements, we do have a chrome roof rail up at the top. You're also going to notice that we have some integrated lighting, and that's going to be because this new Expedition is featuring different zones of lighting that actually allows it to completely light up at nighttime for ultimate tailgating. But let's go ahead and roll around into the rear of this vehicle. Now, when it comes to the rear, you're going to notice that we actually have a very bold design going on here. And let's go ahead and break down some of those elements because I'm sure you're already seeing them right now. We have a wiper underneath of here, a integrated spoiler, but this is really the big thing for the new Expedition. This centerpiece of the tailgate is actually going to be finished in a gloss black. Now, on this blue color and in the studio, you might not be able to see it too well, but it does have a ton of contrast, especially if you pick other color options in the Expedition lineup. Our branding's still going to be silver, and then we have an all-new taillight design as well. It's going to have kind of a T shape to it going down through here. You have a LED accent bar through here, LED brake light and reverse light and turn signal, so a full LED unit. Then you have that accent right there. Dropping down to the lower fascia, this is all going to be finished in either a body color or a silver trim. As far as your towing, of course, Ford knows that's important for any Expedition owner. It has been increased as a maximum up 300 pounds over the previous generation to 9,600 pounds. And even if you don't have the trailering package, you can tow 7,000.
Now, when it comes to your safety systems, we don't have a full breakdown of what's going to be included on every single trim level. This is a very early studio first look at this vehicle. However, we do have some important information about Blue Cruise. And important information about that is that it's going to be the newest version. It's going to be 1.4, which actually allows for automatic lane changes with the turn signal, and things like vehicle lane repositioning, which give you that more human touch with Blue Cruise. And that's going to be standard on 90% of the Expeditions for this model year. But guys, there's an even cooler inside, so let's dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the interior, which obviously is even more important than what you have on the outside. So first of all, of course, you have smart entry, remote start, but you also now for 2025 have a digital key system, so you can use your phone to access the vehicle. And then let me go ahead and pop open the door here. First of all, on the Platinum, you will notice you have the power deploying running boards, and then taking a look at the interior. This is certainly way bigger of a departure from the previous model than what the exterior is, because we've got just a lot more luxury and a lot more technology on board. We'll start off by talking about our seats though before we fully get inside. Obviously, like I said, this is the Platinum trim level, so we have the most premium grade of leather available. It's got a unique stitching detail, Platinum branding, perforation throughout. These also should continue to be multi-contour, so they have massage abilities, and you also have quite a few ways of adjustment with your four-way lumbar support and then memory seats as well. But let's go ahead and get inside. And now I'm inside the cabin and closed up the door. Let's go ahead and get into the overall material quality. So just in general, this interior really is a big departure from the F-150. Previously, it was very related to the F-150. Now they are really nothing alike. And over here on our door trim, you'll notice some very premium materials. You've got a lot of leather. It's going to be in multiple color choices, as well as perforation through the middle and up top. As we move to the upper dashboard, you're going to notice that we have a full leatherette covering all through here with nice stitching details that flow down. The top part is going to have this interesting speaker grill effect. So as you can see, it kind of wraps all the way around with that cloth trim. There are 3 real speakers behind that. And then you also have a faux wood trim that's going to run through the center section for a little bit of luxurious decor. Of course, it is padded along the console as well. Now, we're inside of a studio, so I'm not going to fire up the engine, obviously. But as you can see, we already have the electronics fired up. And this really is kind of the big elephant in the room, right, to talk about with the interior. So what we have is 2 distinct displays. We have a panoramic display up top. This one is 24 inches. And then you've got your main infotainment system in the center, which is 13.2 inches. This is a touchscreen. You engage with this. As you can see, it's very easily within your reach and close to the steering wheel. That one up there is not a touchscreen. That's going to basically serve as your gauge cluster and head-up display combination in essence, because it's right up there in your line of sight. You don't really have to divert your gaze from the road very much at all to see that main information in terms of what's on the gauge cluster. Now, obviously, this is going to be very customizable, so you're going to be able to change the design. You can also pick what types of information you want in different tiers, because you have things like your navigation up there on the right-hand side, kind of your traditional gauge information there, and you can pick some other information right there in the middle. You can customize that stuff by going into the main display. Now, this is a prototype, so I don't have full functionality right now, but we've kind of showed this off in the Lincoln Nautilus, and the Navigator would essentially get kind of double those panels. It has 48 inches. You get 24 when you choose the Expedition. Now, speaking of Lincoln, we have a very Lincoln-like steering wheel on board. This is that really interesting looking kind of squared off 2-spoke steering wheel we've seen on some of the latest Lincoln products. Now it's here on the Expedition as well. It is a power adjusting steering wheel. As you can see, it's got digital buttons that go away when the vehicle is turned off. You have some piano black trim, 2-tone finish. It's very, very interesting looking, and it does feel luxurious when you touch it. Now, as a very, very large SUV, we need to talk about interior storage. So obviously, you're going to find Lots of interior storage, just like any Expedition before it. This console is ridiculously large. You're going to easily be able to fit as many donuts as we can carry. We don't have them with us today in Detroit, though. You've got your 2 cup holders up there. You also have a nice wireless phone charging pad and some hidden storage here. But let me show off what is new this year, and that's the fact we have a sliding console. So if I press this button right on top, I can slide this back about 8 inches, and inside of here we have now a hidden storage compartment. So you'll see this is not a tiny compartment. For demonstrative purposes, Ford placed in here a kind of a handbag, basically. So as you can see, that fits in there quite easily. When the vehicle is turned off, there's no possible way to actually get this open. So it acts as additional security as well for your most valued belongings. And when that slides back, it also acts as, or gives the rear passengers better access to the center console. Now, one of the reasons that this new functionality is possible is because the shifter has been kind of elevated up here to this panel underneath the display. It's still a rotary style, which is typical for the Ford lineup. You will have the availability of a 360 camera, which is something you're going to want on an SUV this big. You've got manual shiftability right there, and your trailer or Pro Trailer control is going to be right there inside of this console area. As you can see, I did just now activate that trailer control, but there's what your camera system is going to look like. You can just kind of click there and demonstrate that. There you go. You're going to have all these different views that you can choose between, including a view to help you hook up a trailer when it comes time to do that. Now, right next to that, you do have a physical volume knob for your audio system. We don't yet have any final information on the audio system, but last year you did have a 22-speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system. Expect to see at least that many speakers for this Bang & Olufsen sound system. And like I already mentioned, with that big sound bar across the top, just right up there, there's going to be 3 speakers by itself. So it should be a really good sound system that quite encompasses around the driver. Now, let's get back into the main infotainment system. Like I said, 13.2 inches on board. This is Ford's digital experience system. So this debuted on the Explorer. We did a little demo in that. But what's important about this is that it's a new system that has Google Apps built into it. So that means natively now we have Google Maps, we have Google Assistant, all the Google apps with things that give you like live traffic, stuff like that. It's going to be very helpful. Overall, the performance of this system as well is just a lot more responsive and quick than the previous sync system that they used to have in the previous model. Now, down in the lower panel, this is where you're going to access your climate control. So you no longer have any knobs or anything. You do need to adjust your temperature exclusively inside of the display. This is also where you activate your heated seats. Ventilated seats, of course, will be on the top spec trims, and a heated steering wheel as well. This model does have ambient lighting, so it kind of runs down through here and all the way across the entire cabin. And then as we move above here, of course, you do have your auto-dimming mirror. You've got your HomeLink universal remotes. And then up at the very top, as you would expect, you've got a full-size panoramic sunroof.
But a big part of any SUV of this size is, of course, how much space you have. So when it comes to this, we don't have official specs just yet. However, we do expect that to remain the same as last year. So we're going to be sitting at about 41.5 inches of legroom and about 40 inches of headroom, which are really good space figures. But enough about space. Let's talk about some of the luxury features and some of the new stuff that you will find in this Expedition's rear seat. Now, you're probably noticing that we actually have bench seating here on the Platinum trim level. Previously, that was a captain's chair setup. You may still be able to get a captain's chair setup. I'm not exactly sure about that just yet. Stay tuned for the full review coming later. But at least here in this model, we have a bench seat, which means that you have more seating capacity, and this seat can actually fold down and give you a nice, armrest portion. If I just pull that right there, you know, it kind of almost gives you that captain's chair setup, and we'll talk about some of the usability of that a little later. Now, as far as the other features, we have cup holders up top, our little clock here. We can also adjust some of the audio functions. We have our own zone of climate back here in the rear, as well as heated rear seats. Ventilated rear seats have not been added, and we do have a household style outlet down below that. Now this is new though. You may notice that we don't have a rear seat entertainment system, but we actually do have a new device management system. So that actually allows you to just hook up your device to the back of the seat back, and it has really the functionality to fit any type of device. So as you can see, I have an iPad over here, there's an iPhone over here. So no matter what device you're using, you can easily just put that on the back of the headrest, and you even have a USB port down here to plug it in so it doesn't run out of battery. Now, as far as other features, if you look at the door trim, rear sunshades have not been added this year, but we do have a nice ambient lighting piece, as well as a lot of leather from top to bottom and plenty of door storage. But let's check out the third row. The third row is a very impressive thing for any Expedition, but let's see what they've done for 2025 back here. So in order to get back here, you just press that button right there. That's actually going to allow the seat to tilt up and slide out of the way. Do keep in mind this is a pre-production unit, and you wouldn't have to remove a child seat to get into the third row. Now that I'm back here, oh my goodness, what an incredible place to spend time. We're looking at about 36 inches of leg room, which is really incredible. You're definitely going to have room for actually 3 full-size adults back here. Now you'll notice that I actually have this middle seat folded down, and the reason for that is because this new Expedition has a very innovative 40-20-40 split folding third row. That is a class exclusive feature, and that does mean that you can actually have people sitting here in the third row and put a very long object right up the middle and right through the second row as well. So you can fit, pieces of wood, whatever you may be hauling that's a long object, while still carrying a lot of people as well. As far as features, we have the ability to recline our third row seats, 2 cup holders, no sunshades back here. We do have vents up top, and there has not been any addition of like a third row heating system for this model. But overall, I'd have to say this is fit for adults. But the new features don't end when it comes to that innovative third row feature, because there's a huge new feature back here as far as the tailgate is concerned. Before we talk about that, though, I do want to mention that instead of the kick ability, they have actually added the ability that when you walk up to the vehicle, it'll just sense your approach and go ahead and open up the power tailgate. And let's go ahead and do that and show off this main feature. I do want to point out the rear glass does not pop independently anymore. That was something you get on the previous version, but something you couldn't get on the previous version was the split tailgate design. Now, what's important about this is that it really allows you to have the ultimate tailgating experience. As you can see, Ford set up a lot of tailgating stuff next to the vehicle, and that's really to show off all of this cool functionality that you're going to have with the new Expedition. So let me go ahead and dive into just a couple of those things. This can support 600 pounds, which allows you to use it as a seat as we've set up right now, I guess as long as you're under 600 pounds. And then you do have the ability to also remove this and set it up as a shelf. If I can get it in the little hook here. There we go. Keep in mind, we are in a limited time frame, so I'm just now learning some of these things with the vehicle, but you can have a shelf right here for your cargo system, and it even allows you to flip it back out this way and have a full set-up table, which would basically be like a great buffet thing. You could have all of your, hamburger buns, hot dogs, whatever, set up actually in the rear of your Expedition. Now, I'm sure you're curious about some cargo space figures. We do expect that to remain the same for 2025. So as far as the figures, you're going to be sitting at 36 cubic feet behind the third row on the Max model, 80 cubic feet behind the second row, and a maximum of 121 cubic feet with all the seats folded down. Now, if you get the standard wheelbase, those figures will be reduced a little bit, but not by a ton. It's still going to be a massive amount of space. And then over here on the side, you have the ability to power fold your third row and your second row, and all of that is done super easily just with a press of a button, and you have that full 122 cubic feet of space. Very innovative, and it's something that the Tahoe does not include for its 2025 model.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the powertrains for the new Expedition. So we moved over here to the new trim level. This is going to come with the most powerful version of the 3.5 liter twin turbo EcoBoost V6. So this is one of the more similar elements to what you had in the 2024 model. However, the lowest displacement is no longer going to be available. So all Expeditions are going to get at least 400 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. However, like I was saying, this version as well as your upper trim levels, those are going to come with the high output version. So that boosts your output to 440 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque instead. Now this is going to be paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. You will have rear-wheel drive or available four-wheel drive. The Tremor will come standard with four-wheel drive. I think a very important thing to talk about, though, is the fact that Ford is saying the suspension is substantially reworked. There's a lot of new components and a lot of new tuning versus the 2024 model, which is going to be very important because obviously, as we were showing off earlier, you have the availability of a 24-inch alloy, and there is not an air suspension on board. It just has adaptive dampers. So we'll definitely be looking forward to putting that to the test in the future when we get to drive this product. Speaking of that, expected availability of the 2025 Expedition is going to be spring of 2025, so we got a few more months before we should be able to get behind the wheel of this new Expedition. Fuel economy, we don't have any official estimates of that quite yet, but if it sticks fairly similar to what it was in the 2024 model, we'd be looking at about 18 combined or 19 combined.
Now let's talk pricing for the Expedition. We don't have official numbers from Ford yet. However, we can give you a good estimate if you're looking to buy one of these. So as far as the current 2024 Expedition, we start at $56,000. The Platinum will go up to about $84,000 for a max version like you see today. And with all the options, it sits at around $95,000. So if you're looking for an estimated price range from Car Confections, I'm going to say it's going to be just a touch under $60,000 as a starting point, and then fully loaded up be $97,000, $98,000 with every single option. Now, if you're looking to buy a Ford Expedition or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth first look review of the all-new 2025 Ford Expedition. For those of you that don't know, this vehicle is actually built in Kentucky, so it's a Kentucky-proud model, and of course we really enjoyed getting a first look at this product and showing you the latest cars on the market. I know a lot of you guys are looking to maybe buy a vehicle in this category, so hopefully you found this helpful, and if you did, we'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel that I'm sure you won't want to miss out on. Go ahead and do yourself a favor, subscribe. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.